throughout this process. I'm gonna make that just a little bit bigger so the audience can see it. If y'all need anything enlarged, well, we can certainly do that. Any questions at this point? Tonight, we're not going to come up with a finished plan. We're not voting on anything. This is just to kind of get things kicked off. So I do know that Justin has a question on some numbers on a precinct. So I'm going to just kick off on that and see if we can get that answered.
First, before you do that, just a quick question about the overall map. How many precincts do we have split today? I saw one right around SLCC split between Mr. Broussard and Ms. Morrison. How many others are there? Do you know that off the top of your head?
No, not off the top of my head. I can calculate them, but they're all within the limits. I know that. Now, some of these boundaries I'm not happy with. I'm hoping that through this process it comes out a little better. But some of them are going to be a little difficult with the high population in 9 and the relatively high population of the ones around it. It's going to be tough. There's going to be some rollover on this, so we have to we'll have to keep an eye on that. But
to my question, I wanted to see the population figures for precincts 40 and 49.
40 and
49.
Okay, 40. 40 as a population.
And if you can read those to us, because our screens are a little blurry up here.
Could you make your screen bigger, like a bigger font, or?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
you can't read even the letters on this.
Like that?
Okay, that's a little bit better.
Okay.
It's still blurry, but it's a little more legible.
All right. If you need it a little bit, you want to try it one more size up? Try it one more up. Mm-mm. All right, I can give y'all an Excel spreadsheet with the precincts, so we'll finish here. All right, 40, Justin?
40 was one of them, yes.
All right, it has a total population of 1183. That's based on those that responded to the census. That's what we have to use. 617 white, 411 black, 5 American Indian, 15 Asian, 1 Hawaiian, 39 others. And then it has a lot of the other subcategories or other combinations, which we generally aren't going to be using. Any part black is 425. They generally trend pretty close to your single race black. That's what the AP stands for. NH stands for non-Hispanic. Back when we had Section 5 pre-clearance, they wanted us to take the Hispanic out because they count those separately and they don't want them double counted. Let me give you what your voting age population is. Voting age population will be 18 plus, 18 years of age and older. That's anybody that was 18 years of age as of April 1st of 2020, which was Census Day. Doesn't necessarily mean they're registered to vote, just means they're eligible to register to vote. So on that, you had, out of that total population, 916 were 18 years of age and older, of which 529 were white, 267 were black, 4 Indian, 15 Asians, and 1 Hawaiian.
So 1183 is the number that we use on the going towards the 26,000, right?
Correct.
Okay.
We use total population to calculate our deviations and the balance. When we start taking a look at our minority populations, though, we want to be mindful what the voting age population is. And what I plan on trying to do, even though it's not going to be an exact science because we'll be splitting some precincts, I'm going to tag in the registered voters by precinct. So we'll have a comparison between voting age and actual registered. Different areas in the state that I've been using, I've seen those numbers pretty close. Normally, voting age population compared to registered. Registered is usually 65 to 75% on average of the voting age population. So it's usually 25% less. A lot of areas of the state, I've seen it almost exactly the same, and in some, it's actually been over. I've had, like I said, if there was 100 voting age population, there were 120 already registered. So So it tells me there's an undercount. We've had an underperformance as far as response to the 2020 census, and a lot of that was because of COVID. But these are the numbers that we legally have to work with. But this gives us an idea what maybe a truer number is out there for the districts based on registered voters. All right, the other one's 49, Justin?
That is correct.
1403 total population, 1215 white, 68 black, 2 Indian, 5 Asian, and 2 Hawaiians, 24 others. And I'll skip over to voting age. All right, voting age. We have 1135, of which 1,005 are white, 42 are black, 1 Indian, 5 Asians, 2 Hawaiian, 19 others. Anybody else want to see any particular data on any particular precinct? If not, then I will go ahead and I'll show you how the system works. Instead of doing a pen and calculator in paper like we used to, it's real easy to make some modifications to it. Let's say we wanted to take District 5. I'm just going to pick on Britt since he's not here. We're going to put him in Vermilion Parish and take care of that. Let's say we want to move, this is the river right here. I can put streets up, put different features up. These are our streets. Let's say we wanted to move this precinct here into 5 for whatever reason. It's a matter of just clicking on the precinct. It highlights it in red. The numbers here, and I'll change these properties so you can read our little magic box a little easier. Whatever is highlighted there is going to show up in this box. This tells me, this is what your ideal value is. This is what you're shooting for. This tells me what the deviation is, what the percent deviation will be if I add that to District 5. What that is going to be doing is going to be adding that change, that the district change in population. There's 2,665 people in that precinct. Of that, 2134 are white, 283 are black, and that'll also give you what the percentage will be once you assign that. So let's say we want to go ahead and assign it. You'll see that area turns gold now, and you'll see that middle number change to +7.33. Okay, if you said, well, changed my mind, don't want to do that, then it's just a matter of just backing it out and clearing it, and it's back in District 8. Now, let's say we want to take part of that. We don't want to take all of that. Then that's where we can come in at the census block level. And then these that you see popping up in red are census blocks. It's the smallest geographic unit the census collects data for. It's normally based on physical features. So in town, it's normally going to be like a city block, but once you get further out like that, that's what that block looks like, because that's the only configuration that connected physical features. So sometimes we're going to have some awkward looking blocks that we're going to have to deal with that might put us into an area that we don't want to go. So that area right there has 1,840 people. If we added that to the 5, that would give it a 4.26 deviation. Right now it's at a -2.59. In that area there's 1,428 people, whites, and then on black we have that change of black, 218. And that will, then these numbers here give you what your voting age, population, and break out by race. But that's how that would work. And again, you can assign that, and it turns to gold. You don't like it, or if you want to take some of it out, then you can do that. So it's real easy to do it. It allows us to really explore a lot of options. I kind of like to think of these workshops as brainstorming sessions. Let's see what works and what doesn't work. Because as we work through this, you may have some ideas on how you would like your district to look. We may find out we've got limitations on precincts or precinct splits or our demographic profile for our minority districts that might affect how that looks. but as long as you understand it, then it's easier for you to convey that to your constituency. And it's also easier for the public that's following this to also understand what we're having to deal with. All right, I think I have all of y'all located in your proper area. That was a problem that we had when we first put together a map. We had somebody in a different address than they actually reside, so we got that fixed up. So if, as we go through this, if there's a if that dot is not going to be in the right spot, then we will make the adjustment, because I need to be able to keep track of it so I can keep you in your districts. And that's not to give you an advantage. It is one of the Section 2 voting rights criteria, is to maintain incumbency. In other words, keep the incumbents in their districts, if at all possible. And the reason for it is they don't want entities use redistricting to purposely redistrict people out of their district. That was happening a lot after the first census, after the Voting Rights Act was passed, and they started using that to redistrict minority incumbents out of their district and put them in majority white districts. And so it's like, that's not what this is all about. So that's where that came in. It's not to give you a political advantage. It's just to maintain a sense of fair play on it. All right. I'm going to open up the floor to you. I generally don't like to take a whole lot of time on the very first one. I just want to get you thinking about all this. So we'll probably try to wrap this up at 7 o'clock, if not a little before. I think that'll at least give you a taste of what's going on, and also give me some ideas on what you may want.
Mr. Hefner, what are the percentages that I see under each district number there?
That's the deviation percentage
Minus-
under my illustrative plan.
Okay, so under this illustrative plan, District 6 is minus 2.8% under 26,881.
Correct. Under the
And-
average number, which
and-
means you can gain population.
And District 3 that's a little blurry. What is that?
That's
5?
minus 5.24.
And what's the percentage underneath that?
That is the any part black percentage. So District 3, Mr. Broussard's, under this configuration, Mr. Broussard's district has a 56.2% black population. Timmy's is at 61.68. I'm probably going to want to try to balance off between those two. Typically in the past, what's been done, we try to balance the two minority districts off. Try to keep them relatively equal, particularly when we're a little short on minority populations, and we are with 2020 because of the underperformance. And normally, when you have undercounts, the minority communities are the ones that are most affected. They're the ones that are least likely to answer the census without somebody coming and knocking on the door and getting the data. And they didn't do that to any extent because of COVID, they being the Census Bureau.
So I just wanted to make sure I was reading this correctly. We have to stay within 5%?
That's going to be our target. I wouldn't want to get much more than 6.5%, if possible. But a lot's just going to depend how these precincts fall, and also how our minority percentages fall.
And and what are the state guidelines and local guidelines?
The state guidelines for precincts, any district can have up to and including 3 precinct splits.
But the percentage deviation wise?
Oh, the deviation?
Mm-hmm.
What triggers reapportionment is if any district's outside of plus or minus 5%. That's what triggers reapportionment. That's what we do on the determination. Once you start reapportioning, though, you may end up with a plan that may have some districts that might be at a 5.5%, maybe a 6.5%.
So right now, my district is 5.6%.
Yeah, that's generally not considered a problem. But I think we probably can polish up some of these districts. So
Okay.
those numbers are going to change as we move through it. But those are the general guidelines you kind of need to think as we explore various changes in the plan.
Given the population growth, my district's at you say it is at 56%. Where can we? What's the number we're looking for? 60, 61?
I'm thinking that we'll probably, if we get y'all around splitting where y'all are both around a 58%, That's about what I think is gonna be about the best we're gonna be able to do.
Can't get better than 58%. What is that, does that includes taking population from, taking the white population out of my district and bring somebody else, or adding blacks to it? And the next adjacent area would be District 4. They will cut the population there.
Correct. That's generally where we're probably gonna end up having a balance between the two.
So between District 3 and 4, we'll have to find a line between District 3 and 4.
That will give us a relatively equal minority population. There's a couple of ways to do it. One is to add more minority population. The other one is to take out non-minority population. And the other one is a combination of the two. So those are our general approach that we're gonna look. You see the shaded areas that I just clicked on, turning them on and off so you can kind of see them? Those are census blocks that have more blacks than whites living in them. In other words, blacks are the majority of the population in those blocks. Now, it could only be by one, but it gives an idea where we have some minority numbers that we can go in and try to pull into those districts. Now, we can't just go willy-nilly and run up along a highway or something to grab a block here and grab a block there. We have to follow all our traditional redistricting criteria, but we should be able to do that. Lafayette's compact enough to do that.
You gave a number a minute ago with the registered voters, eligible registered voters and registered voters. Could you give that to me in District 3?
I can give it to you in, as far as voting age population. I haven't calculated the, or programmed in the registered voter population yet. I will be doing that by our next workshop. I'm gonna make this a little bolder so you can read this. All right, this master chart up here, under the configuration that we're looking at, illustrative plan 1, District 3, you're shooting for 26,861. Under this configuration, you actually have 25,454, or 1,400 below that, which is a minus 5.24% deviation. That deviation's fine. That's the white population, 8828, or 34.68. That's single race white. Any part black, you have 14,304, or 56.2. That's what that bottom number is on that black box. The difference between those two are going to be other races. The voting age population is 19,285, of which 7,366 are white, or 38.2%. Black population, voting age population is 10,359, or 53.72%. Now, when I plug in those registered voters, we're going to be comparing the voting age numbers to the actual registered voters. That's going to give me an idea how accurate those voting age counts are.
I have another question.
Yep.
Are there any guidelines that state that we need more districts if at a certain point? Or how does that work?
Your membership is determined by the board. You do that by resolution. If you decide that you want to have 10 districts, then we'll put together a 10-district plan and discuss it. You may say, I really like a 10-member plan. Let's go ahead and go with that. Well, we'll draft the resolution that says that you're changing your membership from 9 to 10. And this is our 10-member plan that we're adopting for that. You can go anywhere from 5 to 15. That's your range.
What is the average population that a school board member represents in the state of Louisiana?
Somebody had done that in another parish. I want to say it's around 7,200 people on the average statewide.
7,200, and we have 26,000.
27. You're in the upper third as far as your number of people that you represent. Just worked through Baton Rouge. They're at 42,000 that they represent per district with a 9-member board. Others are, I have some that are as low as 1,200 in my rural parishes with school boards. some of them 1,200 total population. But I believe, if I recall correctly, somebody did the calculations, and there was around 7,200 persons per district on average. As far as the membership size, you know, rarely do I see 5. See 7, fair amount. See 8, a little more. I see 9 quite a bit. A little bit of 10, and then I see anywhere from 11 to 13. We used to have one that had 16, but
You're talking about represented
number of
districts?
members. Number of
Okay.
members, yeah. But that's something that's really up to the board, and you have time to explore that if you want. Because your total population is, that we're working with, is 241,749. You divide that by 10, you'll drop your number down to 24,000 per district instead of 26. So that would be the effect between a 9 and a 10.
Of course, we would never go to 10 and have an even number of votes, now would we?
Some do well with 10, but they do it by policy on
I
dealing
could-
with the.
I can
even
think of a
number.
parish to our south that doesn't do well with an even number of members.
Yeah, there's also one to your east that does pretty well with 10, though. Yes, the one to the south, they actually made the motion in 2018 to go to an odd number. That's what we're working with now. But to the west, they went from 9 to 10 in 2000, and it's worked out pretty well for them. But even number ones, what they do is they have policies in that help prevent the deadlocks. Of course, you go to 11, you'll probably drop down to about 22,000, I would guess, per district.
Can you, by the way, show with your fancy little clicking precincts in and out of districts, just show what would happen to 3 and 6 if we moved 40 and 49?
Sure. We'll try to get these numbers up a little bit bolder on those precincts. So I can read them too. All right, those are our precinct numbers in there. All right, you want to add,
They are Four Corners down Eras Landry is where
Mhm.
those precincts are.
all right, which numbers were there again?
40 and 49.
40 and 49. I'm going to take streets off for a moment. 40 and 49.
It's right where the right where the three box is.
Mm-hmm. Let me clear out that, there we go. All right, which one you want 40 to go into? 6?
Yes, please.
All right, that's gonna have 1,183 people in it. Gonna bring your deviation to a plus 1.56. In District 3, it brings the deviation down to a -9. Minority percentage will go to a 57.2. Right now, it's at a 56.2, so it's moving that in the right direction.
Can you put 40 back and then just add 49 to District 6?
Sure. All right. So that's 1,400 people in that precinct. That brings the deviation to plus 2.3 in District 6, minus 10.4 in 3, and brings the minority percentage to 59% in 3. And we don't have to really track the minority numbers in the others.
That's precinct 49. Yeah, that's just 49.
And these are the streets right here. In that shaded area. I'll try to get these street names a little bolder for you.
Yeah, it's very hard to read.
It's St. Mary, Myrtle Place, all on the Four Corners side of Congress.
That's this area right here. This is Cajun Dome Boulevard to Erath Landry. Coming up to 90, down University, and down Oak Lawn. Down to Johnson. That's that precinct boundary. I'm gonna just go ahead and assign it just so I can clear out that dark red. Makes it a little easier to read the street names. So what that would do is it's okay for 6, but 3 is gonna have to end up picking up some population somewhere, because 3 is on the low side right now. 3 is at a -10. But it balances out with 6.
In District 8, you said the blue lines are the
Precinct boundaries.
precincts. I'm having a hard time seeing, so how many splits do I have going on
How many splits do you have?
in 8?
All right, let's see. I'm gonna turn the streets off for a minute, because that's the way I see it best. Got one that on the precinct that you actually live in, which is 78. I have a second split here with precinct 92. And I got a third split with Don in District 9.
Okay.
That's to put him into his district.
What does giving me all of 78 do to my?
All of 78?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what that does.
'Cause
That's shared with
That's really
6.
where I grew up.
Yeah, that's with 6, so let's see what it does. We want to put that in 8. Picks up that area, which is 686 people remaining in that precinct. That'll put you at a plus 8% deviation, bring 6 to minus 0.17, but
So-
eliminates the precinct split.
So that's not possible, really?
Mhm. So we would have to probably take some out somewhere, swap off somewhere else.
I would prefer to have my neighborhood that I walk every morning and see all my neighbors.
I certainly would agree with you.
Be like, hey guys, I don't represent you anymore.
So we'll just have to figure out another area to move that population. Maybe it's eliminate the split with 7. Let's see what that does. That's 1,100 people. That brings 7 up a little high, but it brings you back down to a plus 4. Also eliminates a second split. So now all you have is 1 split at the moment.
What happens if you split? I really can't see the numbers. I think it might be 76.
76.
I can't see. Yeah, it's the horse farm.
Let me get those precinct numbers a little bigger for you. Okay. All right, 76, excuse me, is this area right here. This is Cooley Mean coming through. I'll put the streets on there real quick. 76, if that goes into 8, is that what you're asking?
Yes, and I also can't quite see where the line is.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and assign it. It's got 1,400 people. That puts you at a plus 9. This is where the line would move. This is Cooley Mean coming through. This is Doucet Road. East Bayou Parkway, and then it picks up the Vermilion River. This is by Rotary Point.
So that puts me up to 9.
Yeah, this is let's see. South College should be right coming through here.
Can you split it at, so there's a Cooley after Shannon on the left?
Cooley Mean's actually right here. The Cooley Mean cutoff is right here. Is
Can
that
you
where
s-
you want to try to
Can you
split it?
split it there and see what happens?
And put the top part into 6?
Right, that would put the top part back
All
into
right.
6.
Cool, let's see what it does. See, you're gonna be involved in those apartments, so you should have a fairly positive impact on your district.
Are you yellow? You're 7, huh?
So 852 right there. We'll pick up the rest of it right there. All right, let's see what it does. It puts you at a +6. 6 is at a -2. So
Is that
that's
doable?
getting really close. Fine tuning that probably is gonna happen as we work through some of the other districts.
Sorry, that would be my preferred split, just because I mean, that's still my neighborhood. That's where we all walk. That's the
Sure.
walking loop, and
Mm-hmm.
most of us don't cross the coulee.
Mm-hmm. Well, it also overlays the school attendance zones in your
Right,
area as well.
it gets a little closer.
So it does help with that respect.
Just for my education, is South College back to being the boundary between our districts over there?
At my current,
Or is it the coulee through the horse
Coulee
farm?
means.
it's kind
Okay.
of the coulee at the horse farm.
Yeah, coulee mean as it cuts, that channel comes through the horse farm, that's the boundary.
So green is 8?
Green is 8.
Yes.
Dark blue,
Okay, so the horse farm and Rotary Point are the boundaries, basically.
yes.
Pretty
Right there?
much, yes.
Okay.
All right.
Does-
Yeah,
Would-
they don't use South College as a precinct boundary. That's it coming through right here.
What do you think about that split, Justin? Is it your area? Yeah.
Tommy?
I have a question. It's blurry to me, but it appears to me that this new, at least the proposed district, the Karen Crow High was drawn out of the Karen Crow district. Is that, am I looking at it right, or?
Well, let's take a look at it and see. Mostly what I'm looking at on some of these is trying to get some numbers balanced out, so. Let me see if we got, something that we can. Give me 1 minute. What I'm trying to do is get your, school file.
Seems like you could put the high school in the district with almost zero impact
Oh,
on
yeah.
anybody.
Yeah, if we're right on the boundary on that, definitely could.
It's in the district now.
Yeah, no, I think we'd wanna put it in there.
I told them move next to the high school, they can't join us.
I don't think so. Yeah, it's on Butcher Switch.
Now it is. Not today.
I don't think so. You could be right.
Don't worry about it, Mike. We
Don't worry about it? We're good, huh?
Roy, I believe it
Don't
did,
work too
but
hard
Butcher
at it, right?
Switch
Right,
did
Timmy?
get Karen Crow High School.
Alright, I'll try to get a
I don't
color
think
that
there's
shows
any,
up on this thing.
Right, to the city limits of Karen Crow. I don't think there's any population there.
So Mike, I don't cross Gloria Switch, right? I don't think so.
Give me 1 sec. That's Acadian.
No, it's not in your, I respectfully disagree.
Mike, the brown line on the illustrated plan, that's the Days district, right?
That is correct.
Tommy's line goes down, the road is down.
Uh,
I don't know what that is.
yeah.
Drops down, University, goes across Butcher Switch, and then goes back up.
Because they kept Karen Crow city limits in the district.
Oh, yeah, but
That's
it's
in the city limits.
But it's on the wrong side. The school is
Uh,
in his district, but it's on this side of Butcher Switch, right?
Yeah, this is where,
The line,
District 3 is in, has Karen Crow and Live Oak.
Except for Karen Crow High School.
If you wanna look at where it is now,
No? Well, I could be wrong.
it was
I
in
could be
3.
wrong.
Karen Crow physically is in 3 right now.
Okay. I stand corrected.
see, but nobody would ever believe it.
always still on top.
I mean, that's great, we got a.
Tommy's the character over
Yep.
No, I-10, or north of I-10. That's right, right.
All right.
Thank you.
If y'all want to adjust that, we can take a look at doing that. Yes. Yes.
Well, I was gonna say, like, Elroy, I was pointing out to Tommy just now that, you have,
South of whatever that, what is that road right there?
District 2 comes down south of, is that 94? It drops down and grabs a piece
I
right
don't know
next
what
to your
the
district.
population with the ratio
Y'all
is.
could trade that off.
This is Mall Street right here.
No, go to the west, Mike.
Back over this way?
Yes.
Yeah, look at where it dips right there. Right here.
That's 723 coming across this way. And that looks like Mills coming up this way.
Okay, I thought maybe we could pick up some minority population, but apparently not.
So it shows I have Elio Jadis. Is that District 1? Blue? Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, District 1, when they did it last time, came all the way over there by the Cajun Dome.
I realize that. So all this time,
SLCC
Brett?
is in District 1,
Yes,
early
I know that.
DCA, West Side LEO, Acadiana. Acadiana is actually in District 1, I believe.
Oh, I'll have to let Britt
Well,
Lotchley
under this
know that.
configuration. Let me
That's
pull
my high
up your
school.
actual one. Acadiana is,
Acadiana
that's
is
what,
mine.
District 5. SLCC is in 1. No, actually, LEO is in District 5.
It's in 5. So
Under this configuration, it's in District 1.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Doc, you had some questions on yours or some things that you wanted to try to look at?
Yeah, I do. Thank
Okay.
you. Just to call to your attention, you're splitting my subdivision in half. So I'd appreciate it if we could try to find a way to make it look less obvious what we're doing.
Yep. Okay, now keep in mind, we're at a plus 5.49 right now under this configuration. So we'll start by adding some more to 9, which will make that number go up, which means we'll have to trade it off somewhere else.
And that, Mike, that where District 8 commingles with District 9 with Fortune Road, Bonan, East Milton, and Verrott,
Mm-hmm.
is there maybe a trade-off somewhere else on the west end of the parish where District 8 could pick up something else rather than that block of what had been District 9?
Yeah, I would like to take a look at some kind of configuration that may do that. When I was putting together this plan, I wasn't able to come up with one right away, but you know, you move one thing and that opens up opportunities for other things that happen. So you can't never say it won't ever be done. But let's take first things first. Let's say if we take that whole precinct in your district and assign it, the rest of it, which would be my preference. That's adding 1,737 people to that area. That's going to put your deviation at a plus 11.96. So that's what we do. Now that's going to isolate that precinct here, which is currently in 8. So that would have to go into 9 because there's no other district that can take that. So now that puts you at a deviation of a plus 24. So that's what we have to work with. So we may end up having to work somewhere on this south end on this one here, even though it's not as heavily populated.
Right.
So if we add that into 8, let's just kind of get some parameters to work with.
Okay, I got a little distracted. Can you point out where we are on the map again? I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry.
Yeah, we're down on the south end. This is Milton Avenue coming across the top.
Okay.
All right. And then we're picking up, that's,
Does that
Yeah,
You're
Barrettsville
adding
Road.
it into my district, is
Yep.
what you're saying?
Yep. Rather than you coming out into District 9 like the illustrative plan originally had, we're gonna bring you straight down and see what that does.
Yes. Let me
Alright.
see.
Now, your district is still balanced. District 9 is still on the high side. So that probably means that you may be able to take a little bit more somewhere else from District 9, probably up on the north end up here.
Can you make your map, like, I'm sorry, can you make it any bigger?
In what respect?
Like, can you zoom in on it
Go
a little
in.
more?
That's gonna
That's zooming
coming
out. Can you go the other way?
That way? Yeah, zoom
Okay.
into it.
Zoom in.
There you go.
Thank you. That's so much better.
And it takes me a little while when people say move it up or move it down. I'm always going the opposite
I
way.
know, sorry.
So bear with me, please. I'm gonna try to find a better, what I may, Superintendent, what I'm thinking about maybe for our next workshop is if y'all have a Promethean board that we could roll into here and just have the chairs up around that, that may work a lot better than them trying to work off the small screens and the audience trying to work off of overheads. Okay.
You're absolutely right. At least two of us on the same page.
But I found the Promethean boards really work well in this kind of project, because you can really walk up to it and look at it. You can point to it. I want this area in my district. It helps me out a lot. All right, so we would have to take a look at making some modifications to it. Now let me come up a little bit further up to the north. See, 7's already high. If 7 took some of 9 to reduce it, then 7's gonna have to peel some off. And the only ones it can work with are 4, 6, and 8. Because those are the only ones that border it. But let's get some parameters here. Let's say if we came in and started picking up some of this precinct here. This is Decon Road. It's gonna have some population. All right, that gives us 715 out. District 8 can handle it. 9 would be down to 10%. So let's see if we can't pick up a little bit more. Let's go to that feature right there. Pick that up and pick that up and pick that up. All right, that's 1,070. District 8 can handle it. Now you're getting down to +8. Let's go ahead and round it off to the parish boundary. Not much population.
Can you clarify whether the representative from District 8 represents ERAF yet? As you
No,
pull in
but
these precincts?
I can certainly put that geography on there and add it if you want.
No, no.
I mean,
Hey,
I think
I've
you can see ERAF high from that line right there.
I've already had to make those adjustments between Iberia and Vermilion.
Look,
because
when
they
we,
finally settled
yeah.
that non-visible indefinite boundary.
when we first moved to town, when I was 9, we moved on 339, Highway 339. And I think my old house is actually technically Erath now. So maybe I know those people.
ERAF at, well, 339 does cross the border. Go
It's
right
not
up
a-
there to LeBlanc Elementary.
It's not a bad place to live.
Nope.
I
No,
lived
it was
there all my
wonderful.
life.
It was wonderful.
Until I got married.
All right.
I'm just saying,
gonna
I might
see what
actually know
happens
them.
if we
Give it
go
to me.
with the whole precinct, just so I get some parameters to work with. That's gonna be way too high for you, brings 9 down a fair amount. Let me just, nope, that's not what I want. Let's bring it down here and see what that does. That's getting fairly close. That puts 8 at a +5, that puts 9 at a +6. Those are reasonable numbers. Let me zoom out and let you see what the district looks like.
I was gonna say, let's take a look at what the district looks like
Let's take
before
a
we
look
call
at
it
what the district
reasonable.
looks like, yes.
I think I heard you say earlier that we can't draw it like, you know, snaking all around the parish.
That's right. That's right. But when you have one district that has a 50-something% deviation, it kind of gets a little nutty. All right. I mean, ideally, if we had another way of spinning this off somewhere else, the problem is there's no other district that can take it on that south end. So you'd have to work it up on the north end instead of that, instead of the south end. Keep the south end at 9 and start trimming between 7, 8, and 9 on the north end. Those would be your options.
Is it possible for you to draw a hypothetical map that has 11 districts?
Sure. Yeah, I can do that. I can put one together and send that out to y'all.
That absorbs, you know, the growing areas of Youngsville
Mhm.
and Broussard?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes, well, I'll tell you, a good example is Broussard in 2000, because they were growing so much and had expanded over into St. Martin Parish, they actually added additional members on their council in order to be able to properly represent those areas. Instead of them being lumped in with other parts of Broussard, they were able to kind of set it up for that end. So sometimes when you have a growing area, they like to take a look at adding another representative or two to be able to represent those areas, rather than lump them in or sharing them with other areas. But yeah, I can do that.
I
See
think
what it
it
looks
would
like.
give us a good idea of whether that's a plausible,
Hopefully the districts will be more compact.
right? I mean, for now, I go from the center of town to the edge of the parish.
Yep, yep. See, when I was first on the board, I was in 5, and actually that area that we just added was actually part of my district back then. I went all the way up to Youngsville. But those were back in the early days when our districts weren't near as populated as they are now.
So Mike, so today I need to add 2,667 people to my district. So and we can only use 3 precincts, you said?
Correct.
Okay. So can you like draw up something what you think would work best, where the numbers will balance up, and have that like for our next workshop? Is that
Yeah,
how
you're
it
talking
is?
about using 9 members or 11 members or
No.
on both of them, not
I
9?
think we're gonna have to go to 10, but let's just do 9.
Yeah, see, right now, under
I
this
like an
configuration.
odd number, though.
Y'all give up easy.
I like an odd number.
Might need 11. I mean,
Under this
Don's sitting here with 41,000.
See, under this configuration, we added all of this area in around Acadiana all the way up into Scott, but that may not be where y'all want it. You may want to take that eastern end, like where the early college academy is, or SLCC and all that, and put that in 3 or 6 or something like that, and come down maybe on the other side of 5, like over toward the Dussault area and whatnot. Instead of coming in through Scott all the way, you may want to come in and look at it that other way, and I can look at that configuration as well. Okay? All right. So Doc, we got that precinct in your area, but we may want to end up trimming this up some, but this gives you at least an idea of what we can, what we can't do. I have my homework assignment. One is to work up a 11-member plan and see what that would look like. Let me do a real quick look on this. 7.
When are we gonna have another one like this?
What I may do, just for the sake of time, is I may see what options I can come up with for District 7 to get its number deviations down a little bit. And then I'll send this configuration out with that tweak. I'll send that out to y'all just so y'all know where we left off tonight. Y'all can study that. And then I'll work on an 11-member plan and send that out to you. And again, 11-member plan just gonna be a starting point. If it's something you seriously wanna take a look at and put some time and effort into making it better, then we got the time to do it.
So the city parish council, they have 10 districts, right?
I got
Because
5.
They have 5,
They have 5 city and they got 5 parish.
total of 10.
Total of 10, but they're 2 different jurisdictions.
Okay.
They have 5 that are split within the city of Lafayette for the city council, and then they have 5 that are split among the whole parish. Now
Okay.
it's gonna be kinda interesting how they use their precincts. Because parish governing authority is in charge of precincts, so normally they create whatever precincts they need for their plan.
Okay.
These were all set up from when it was 9 members for both the council and also for the school board, so they're optimized for 9. These, back from 2010. So we're gonna see how this works with an 11. Thing is with them, I don't know if they're gonna be creating much in the way of precincts or not. But, they're gonna be dividing the parish up 5 ways. You're dividing it up 9 ways, possibly 11 ways. So it cuts the pie up a little, different sized pieces, I guess you could say. Those pieces representing population. But we'll see how it all works. Lafayette's, I find it's dense enough and has enough precincts that we should be able to get pretty darn close to what we want, whether we want to stay with 9 or go with 11 or look at another number. Any other questions? Anything else y'all want me to look at? Yeah, that would take place in your 23 election, your election next year. We would do it, we would write it into the resolution. That Lafayette Parish School Board hereby determines they're gonna increase their membership from 9 to 11. And Plan A represents their 11-member redistricting plan. So I'll draft that resolution along with all the descriptions and all the other stuff we have to have in it when we get to that point.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Now, it may help us with the minority numbers going to 11 too, because your numbers are different. Your numbers are lower. So, because your numbers are lower, I can maybe able to concentrate a little bit more of the demographics that we need in districts 3 and 4. So we'll take a look at that.
And just to be clear, we must have, those districts are protected by which guidelines?
Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act.
Okay, right. I
Yeah,
just
you don't
want
want
to
to
make
adopt a
that clear
plan,
for our
that's what they
public.
call,
Yeah.
that dilutes minority voting strength, or we call retrogression. Puts minorities in a worse position in their districts than they were before. The only problem I want to take a look at, though, is because you're increasing the membership of the board, it also puts you 2 out of 11 instead of 2 out of 9, so your ratio's different.
Right, so
So I'm
maybe,
gonna run that comparison against the ratio of the parish.
so look at having 10 districts as well, just in case. I know it is hard.
Yeah, it won't be a problem for me to do 10. You know, you can see how it works. So, what I'll do is I'll do a proportionality calculation so I can see exactly what the proportion is, what it currently is, 2 to 9, and the parish ratio, and then how that works, 2 out of 10, 2 out of 11. So, I'll explore some options on it, though. Good thing is I'm wrapping up the remainder of my November 22 election cycle client, so in the next month or so, I'm gonna have more time to spend on this, so we'll be meeting more often and have some work to get done for the superintendent. I haven't forgotten. Matt's gonna remind me, I know that. All right, anything else? We'll go ahead and wrap it up tonight if you don't have anything else to.
So we're gonna leave here, and you're gonna let us know when's the optimal time for us to have another
Yep.
workshop?
Yep, I'm gonna wanna do a 10-member plan, 11-member plan, tune up this plan. I'm gonna get those all out to you, give you a little time to study it, then I'll get with the superintendent, we'll schedule our next workshop. It'll probably be sometime in July.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
Thank y'all. Do you have any questions or anything? Good? Okay.